So Tuesday, August 22nd, it's another PBC on Fox Sports 1 card. This is from Sam's Town Live in Las Vegas, and it's a Mayweather Promotions card. Three fighters being featured here. What's interesting is all three of these guys lost their second to last fight. So they lost, I think for some of them, it was their first professional fight. Not the last fight, but the fight before that. So they've all had one comeback fight, and now this is the second fight of their comeback after that loss. So Juan Carlos Payano is a bantamweight fighter, the 10-rounder. Ashley Theophane, a 140-pounder in an 8-rounder. And Jamel Herring is a lightweight in a 10-rounder. All three of those guys pretty much in layups. They're pretty much showcase fights, but should be some fun action on that card. So Friday, another Fox Sports 1 card. This is at Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. I like this matchup a lot. A middleweight title eliminator, Tureano Johnson, going up against Sergiy Derevyanchenko. This is, of course, a 12-rounder. It's for the IBF eliminator for the #1 spot. If you think back, almost 2 years ago, Tureano Johnson fought an IBF eliminator on the Golovkin-Lemieux undercard, I believe. He was featured as part of that pay-per-view of that fight. He's only had one fight since. He had some injuries. He's had some issues. I think he had a surgery to repair an injury. So he's kind of been on the sidelines. He had no fights at all in 2016. He's only had one fight since that eliminator in late 2015. He's 20-1 with 14 knockouts. Derevyanchenko, who is Ukrainian from Crimea, which is interesting because Crimea is now technically part of Russia. So even though on his box rec, you look up Derevyanchenko and you see that he's quote-unquote Russian, he's actually born in the Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian, all the craziness that's been going on over there. So he's 10-0 with 8 knockouts, and he's been on the fast track. Highly decorated amateur, 10 fights, or this will be his 11th pro fight. 11 pro fights in, he's going into an eliminator. What's interesting about this matchup, and look, I think that had this fight happened a year ago, 2 years ago, I'm not saying I would have ever favored Tureano Johnson, but I think it would have been more competitive. I still think this fight's going to be very competitive, but part of me thinks that with just the inactivity with Tureano Johnson, that maybe after a few competitive rounds, Derevyanchenko makes a real statement and gets a stoppage win over him in the mid to late rounds. That's what I see happening at this point in their careers. But you look at the situation with Canelo Golovkin. Now, before, the rehydration thing would have come into play, right? The previous rehydration rule that the IBF had, the second day weigh-in thing. But as I talked about in the first half of this episode, the IBF has changed their rule. So that stipulation is no longer there. So Canelo can still show up at whatever weight he wants. There's no second day weigh-in. So you have to imagine he's going to be fighting for the IBF title as well. Now, if Canelo wins, or if Golovkin wins, there's probably going to be a rematch between the two of them. But you have to think that Derevyanchenko, if he wins this fight, is going to be waiting in the wings and he's going to want his chance. The IBF is very, very big on following their rules, which kind of sounds funny right now because I'm just talking about a rule they just changed in this episode. But when it comes to mandatories, they're very, very big on following their rules. And a recent example I can give you is when Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury signed up for a rematch. Obviously, that was a very, very big fight after their first fight, right? And Fury had the title. IBF, he had several titles, but the IBF was one of them after beating Klitschko. And he had a mandatory defense due. And he didn't want to take that defense. He wanted to go for the more lucrative fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Plus, there was a rematch clause in his contract with Klitschko, so Klitschko kind of had him by the balls and said, hey, do this rematch or else. So at that point, the IBF stripped Fury and set up a fight for their vacant title. And it ended up going to Charles Martin, one of the worst heavyweight titleists, maybe the worst heavyweight titleist of all time. So they don't care about going for the big money fight. The IBF will follow their rule. and give a vacant title to a much, much lesser significant fight. So we could see a scenario, depending on how things play out between Canelo and Golovkin, where the winner of that fight gets stripped if they don't want to fight the winner of this fight between Johnson and Derevyanchenko, which, as again, I think it'll be Derevyanchenko. So perhaps at some point next year, we end up seeing Derevyanchenko fight for a vacant title. The vacant IBF title could happen. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think 140 pounds now with Terence Crawford holding all those titles, one of those titles will be taken away within 6 months. And it's going to be the same thing with the winner between Canelo and Golovkin. That's just the way these things work. The sanctioning bodies, sometimes the rules are for the betterment of boxing. Sometimes, it's like you got to deal with the good, you got to deal with the bad. I think within 6 months of Canelo Golovkin, by next May when they do their rematch, at least one of those titles is going to be stripped, and it may very well be the IBF because of this fight. Either way, I want to see this one. A good Friday night fight, man. That's going to be one to watch. So Saturday, there's 2 cards. You know which one I'm going to. Let's start with the one I'm going to. Here in Carson, California at StubHub Center, Miguel Cotto going up against Yoshihiro Kamegai for a vacant junior middleweight title. I believe this is the WBO junior middleweight title. The same title that Canelo Alvarez won against Liam Smith, and then subsequently vacated to go up to 160 for his fight with Golovkin. And of course, before that, he fought Chavez at some stupid catchweight. But it's just funny that Canelo held that title, vacated it. Now Cotto's going to fight for it. The last time he fought was in November 2015 against Canelo and lost. And it was 1 pound heavier than this fight will be. So, gotta love the WBO. Gotta love the sanctioning body madness. For Yoshihiro Kamegai, he hasn't fought since September 2016 himself. So he's almost laid off for a year. Cotto's laid off for almost 2 years now. But I think about that, and then you think of Kamegai as being the bigger, stronger guy because he is naturally taller and everything. But he's only had 5 fights at junior middleweight. He moved up, I think, in 2014 to junior middleweight. Cotto's had 9 fights at junior middleweight. He started fighting there in 2010. So although Kamegai is taller, longer, Miguel Cotto might be the stronger guy. We'll have to see. 2-year layoff, though. All things being considered, with Kamegai's style, I really think he has a chance to Jeff Horn Miguel Cotto. And that's what he's got to do to win this fight. He can't be so damn respectful. As much of a badass as Kamegai is, and he goes forward, guns blazing, and he goes for the kill, he gets a little too respectful. He does too much of this shit, bowing to the fighter and trying to tap gloves and shit like that, nodding to him. Respect, man. No. He needs to get rid of that shit. In this fight, he needs to be Jeff Horn. He just needs to be a dick and do whatever he's got to do to wear down Miguel Cotto. You got a guy coming off a 2-year layoff. You got a guy who's basically been a part-time fighter now for years and more of a promoter / diva than anything else. You got to just take it right to his ass. Now, some of you hate this matchup. You hate everything about it. I understand that. If you hate this matchup, there's a very, very good matchup in the co-main, and that's between Rey Vargas and Ronnie Rios. These two are very similar to each other in age, size. The winner of this fight isn't an elite level fighter. Neither of these guys are, but this is a good quality, evenly matched fight. Vargas traveled over to the UK in February to win this super bantamweight title he has. He's 29-0 with 22 knockouts, Mexican fighter. Ronnie Rios, Mexican-American, 28-1 with 13 knockouts. I think Vargas, you'd think Vargas is the favorite, but how much of that record did he pad up in Mexico? And the fact that he did go on the road to win his title, I think is impressive. He has more power, at least on paper, than Rios. But, maybe Rios, this is set up for him to try to get a title here. So let's see what he can do. But I think that's going to be a very, very good scrap. I think these two fights are going to be entertaining, two-way, competitive matches. And the people that are making the conscious decision to buy tickets to go to Cotto-Kamegai, to go to the StubHub Center this Saturday, it's basically a protest of the shit show. So I think that people there are going to be like-minded fight fans. It's going to be a very family-like atmosphere. Even at Press Row, the people that are covering the Cotto-Kamegai event are doing so, they're choosing to cover that event over Mayweather-McGregor. They're not doing it because they couldn't get into Mayweather-McGregor, because I know some of the people who got in for that fight, I've been given some inside information, they're letting everybody into that event. You might not be getting into the arena, you might be just held up in the media center, so you might not get into the event, but they're bringing in tons of media, tons of people that have never covered a Vegas fight. I know people that have never once covered a fight in Vegas, just started writing, who got in for Mayweather-McGregor. So the people that are going to cover the Cotto-Kamegai card are doing so, they're making a protest or a conscious decision to do that over the bigger quote-unquote event. So for all those reasons, I think it's just going to be a family-type atmosphere. And I can't wait to hang out there. I can't wait to see you guys. Those of you who are going, let me know, man. Comment below and stuff. Tweet me, whatever. And I'll see you guys there. We'll talk a little boxing and shoot the shit. It's going to be that kind of event, that kind of just a festive kind of atmosphere, man. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But we got to talk about this other thing. And I know that a lot of you, look, if you're over it, tap out now. Take a knee. Cool. You like the MMA reference? Followed up with a boxing reference? Boom. Okay. As you can see here, I feel uncomfortable even talking about this thing. But let's actually talk about the boxing matchups on the undercard at the shit show. Gervonta Davis is fighting Francisco Fonseca, a Costa Rican who's fought nothing but absolute cans. This will be his first fight outside Central America. For Davis, I like that this is his third fight of 2017. That's what you're supposed to do with a prospect or a young titleist. I don't consider this guy a champion at all. This is his second defense of his title belt, which to me is kind of a paper title. But recently for him, people have asked about him fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. And look, I've been clear about this. I think it's way too soon for Davis to be fighting someone like Lomachenko. But he's been asked about this on record in interviews. You can see the videos on YouTube and stuff. And he said, his response, and I'm paraphrasing, is basically, look, I'm not going to fight Lomachenko because he can't even sell out a venue. He's not a big enough draw for me to fight him. Giving that stupid, kind of ignorant, pathetic fucking answer that seems to be coming out of that Mayweather-Heyman side more now than ever. And it's almost used as a promotional tool for them. And for some reason, their idiotic fans buy into it. That was the wrong answer for Davis to give. The right answer would be, I'm not ready for Lomachenko yet. And I want him down the road, but I need some more seasoning. I need to fight a few more guys to work my way up to him. But he's the best. He's the best in this division. I want to fight him one day and prove I'm the best. But I need to get some more fights under my belt. That would have been the right answer. And say it the way he needs to say it in his own way, but that message is what should have been put across. And if he is the blue chipper of Mayweather's stable, of Floyd Mayweather's stable. And if Floyd is his great mind and his great promotional mind, he's this promoting genius, and he's supposed to be moving into that realm of boxing, that world, you need to be giving your fighter that kind of advice. You don't need your fighter to follow in your footsteps and say stupid shit like that. It worked for you, Floyd, but you were the last one to pull that bait and switch on people. It's not going to work for someone like Gervonta Davis. It's not going to work for him. So, just coach these young guys up a little better, because that was just a stupid fucking message to say something like that and then fight Francisco Fonseca. I can't even remember the guy's name. I had to look at my notes. It just looks fucking stupid. It just looks stupid. But he's going to score a highlight reel knockout in this, and the idiots who are going to this fight, and you got to be a moron to actually be going to it and thinking it's a competitive, great, boxing card. Some of these MMA casuals are going to look at that guy and be like, damn, I want to see more of him. So, maybe it'll work. Me personally, I think that most of the casual MMA fans who are going to Mayweather-McGregor or buying it, they're never going to be boxing fans. They're going to forget who Gervonta Davis is 10 seconds after his fight's over. Most of them will be out in the casino getting shit-faced or doing something like that. The ones at house parties and bars, they won't even be there yet when Davis is fighting. So those of you saying that this is a promotional tool to build up his profile, I completely disagree. I just completely disagree. So Andrew Tabiti, a 27-year-old Chicago-born cruiserweight going up against Steve Cunningham, who since 2011 is 5-6-1. This is a meaningless fucking fight. Tabiti is 14-0 with 12 knockouts. He was 32-6 as an amateur. I think he had a couple of good runs in some Golden Gloves tournaments, but I don't think he ever won any national Golden Gloves tournaments. So, a limited regional type of amateur career. Undefeated as a pro. If he is something to watch, because the cruiserweight division is stacked, right? There's a big tournament going on in that division coming up. You may have heard of it. If Tabiti is anything to look at, anything at all, he should brutally stop Steve Cunningham within 4 to 6 rounds. If this fight goes the distance, which it likely will, he's really nothing to get excited about. That's all I got to say about that. The one fight on the undercard, the one fight of the entire card that should be pretty good scrap. Nathan Cleverly going up against Badou Jack, putting his title on the line. This is set up for Badou Jack to get a light heavyweight title. Obviously, right? Cleverly's 30 years old, a record of 30-3 with 16 knockouts. But going up against Jack, I personally believe he's going to be fighting the best opponent he has faced since he fought Sergiy Kovalev back in 2013. That's just the way I see it. He hasn't fought anybody that is going to bring what Badou Jack can bring, especially filled in at 175 pounds, where he's going to be a lot more comfortable, coming in with a lot of momentum off the way he closed out the show against James DeGale, the way he finished that fight earlier this year. I just think that he's facing the best opponent he's fought in like 4 years. Badou Jack is 33 years old. It's crazy to think he's the older guy here, but he is. Cleverly's just been around fighting for a while, and he's been in some tough, grueling war kind of fights. So he's probably the more aged fighter, even though Jack is older. Jack, again, I talked about DeGale back in January. But before that, he fought Lucien Boutte. Before that, he fought George Groves. Before that, he fought Durrell. So his last 4 opponents are all pretty good quality super middleweights, right? So now he's going up in his first fight at light heavyweight, fighting Nathan Cleverly. Let's give this guy some credit. He's had a pretty good record as of run, a pretty good run. I mean, none of these guys I would call elite, but a pretty good, solid run of opponents. And Cleverly's fought some good guys too. I just think the guys Jack has fought overall are better. And I think he's better prepared. And when you look at the trajectory of these two fighters, I think that, Badou Jack's, his stock is rising and Cleverly's is dipping. Jack is 6'1", 73-inch reach. Cleverly's 6'1", 74-inch reach. So these guys are basically the same size. Jack 22-1-2 with 12 knockouts. That's the only thing about Badou Jack. He doesn't knock guys out. He just doesn't have a lot of power. So I see this one probably going to the cards. I think that Jack has been ripped off on a couple of cards. I think this time he's going to get the decision. His promoter is running this thing, and he's going to get the decision here. So Cleverly has to go for a knockout. If Cleverly wants to win this fight, he's got to knock Badou Jack out, or at least drop him. Can he do it? I don't think so. I think that this is going to distance and Jack wins and grabs the title at 175. Okay, so now for the main event. What can I say about this thing? I mean, how can I break down Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor technically? I think there's been already way too much ink, including my own publication that I contribute to this thing. There's way too many people technically breaking this thing down. How in the living fuck can you break down a fight with a guy who's never fucking fought? You can only assume. You can only go off what you've seen, right? The only technical things I could bring to this, the only X factors, if you will, are that Floyd hasn't fought since September of 2015 when he fought Andre Berto, and Conor McGregor hasn't fought since November 2016 when he fought Eddie Alvarez. So both guys are coming off layoffs. It kind of almost looks like the Cotto-Kamegai fight in that regard, where they're both kind of coming off layoffs, but one guy's is just a lot longer. The difference here is, Kamegai, he's at least a boxer who's been competitive. He's a gatekeeper, he's that level fighter, but he's boxed for a long time and is schooled in a sport and shown he could take a boxer's punch and all that. McGregor's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. So technical-wise, I don't know. Floyd's 40 years old. Conor McGregor's 29 years old. They list Floyd at 5'8". I think he's closer to 5'7". 72-inch reach. McGregor's 5'9". Maybe he's closer to 5'8". I don't know, 74-inch reach. These guys are pretty much the same size, but I think it's fair to say that McGregor is naturally taller, stronger guy. He probably really is 5'9". He's probably 2 full inches taller than Floyd. Bigger shoulder width, bigger wingspan. He's just a naturally bigger guy. So he is the stronger of the two. He's the much younger and fresher of the two. But this is a 12-round fight. And this guy has never fought for more than 5 rounds. And a lot of his fights go to the ground. And you're laying on the ground and gravity is helping you out. You're going to be on your feet for 3 minutes around chasing a guy who's going to be making you miss. And Floyd's going to tap him and slap him and spin him. And all Floyd's really going to do, I don't see Floyd running in this fight. He's not going to need to. I think that we're going to see a lot of situations where Floyd's just on the ropes. And what's-his-face dives in at him, and Floyd makes a miss and turns him. And he goes flying into the ropes and has to pull himself out of the ropes and reset. And when they are in the middle of the ring, it's going to be a feinting competition. McGregor is going to try to bounce in and out, and eventually Floyd's going to time him and slap the shit out of him. And look, this fight shouldn't go the distance. Even if Floyd fights defensively like he always does, this fight still shouldn't go the distance. If Floyd really wanted to knock McGregor out, I still don't think he'd do it in the first round. Floyd can knock him out whenever he wants to, if he really, really wanted to. But Floyd's style is to always give up the first round. I mean, he gave up the first round to Robert Guerrero, right? He's going to give up rounds. Maybe it was Robert Guerrero. I'm just, throwing a name out there. But he will give up the first round. He wants to see what you got. And coming off a 2-year layoff, he's going to do that with McGregor. McGregor might win the first round on some of these judges' scorecards, right? But after 2 or 3 rounds, he's going to have this guy's timing and his movements. And if he wants to get him out of there at any point, he can. But he's going to have to take a risk. And to take a risk, is it worth one punch, one lucky winning the fucking lottery, 1 in a billion with a B chance of landing a haymaker out of hell and knocking Floyd out or something? Is Floyd going to take that fucking risk for this guy, for this fucking white devil? No, he's not going to do it. I just don't see it happening. So it's probably going the distance, right? And Floyd's going to win a decision. Now, a lot of you have asked me, well, let me backtrack before I get to my rant, because a lot of you have asked me why I'm so salty about this fight and why I've talked so much shit about it and everything else. And I'm going to get to some of that in a second. But one last thing about how this fight might go. You might see a situation like Victor Ortiz. Remember when Victor Ortiz kind of had a little moment there? I can't remember what round it was in, but he actually pressured Floyd. It landed a couple shots and kind of made him work a little bit. And he was slightly uncomfortable for a second. And then he freaked out and headbutted him and, was talking to the ref. I think it was Joe Cortez. Yeah, it was Joe Cortez. And Floyd just sucker punched him. Because technically, Joe Cortez had said fight, and Victor Ortiz literally was looking over at him, talking to the ref, and Floyd just walked up and sucker punched him. Floyd's not above doing that. He's kind of like Andre Ward in that regard. He's going to do whatever the fuck he needs to do to win, right? So he's not above doing something like that. We could maybe see something like that in this fight. That's probably, to me, The only way we see a stoppage. Other than that, I think it's going to the cards, and Floyd wins a decision in a dreadful, dreadful fight. Now, some of you have asked me why I'm so down on this fight. Why do I feel the need to talk shit about it and everything like that? And some of you feel that I've gone out of my way to do that. I disagree. You have to understand, guys, that if you go on Twitter every day and you do a little boxing chat on Twitter, or maybe you go on YouTube and watch some boxing videos, maybe you're in a Facebook boxing group, you know, and you chat, maybe you're in some message boards, whatever, and you do a little bit of chatting here and there a few times a week, whatever it is. You keep up with the news, you listen to a couple podcasts, you see some of the comments, you see some of the craziness that's out there in the fandom, right? Boxing fans are nuts. MMA fans are nuts. Boxing fans are even more crazy because they're more diehard. Not that MMA doesn't have diehard fans, because they do, but the majority of their fans are casuals. But you see some of the craziness out there, right? Guys, I do this every day. And I'm not saying I work at ESPN and I'm a network guy for HBO, or I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm a part-time, you know, junior level guy in this business. But any of you who follow me, you've seen I've been busy lately doing stuff for Ring Magazine, doing stuff for Undisputed Champion Network, Boxing Monthly. I got a piece coming out in the next issue. I've got stuff going on all over the place. I work in this business every single freaking day. I'm in it, in the trenches, right? Checking things out, chatting, you know, just having the discussions, keeping abreast of what's going on. So the craziness, the fuckery that you see every day out there on social media, multiply that shit by 10. That's what I deal with every single fucking day. And because I'm known as the boxing guy at my job, with my friends, with my family, with friends of friends, with friends of family, right? I get bombarded with shit all the time. Now, most of the time, if it's a fight between, you know, Cotto-Kamegai, most casuals have no fucking idea what that is. But in an event like this, I'm getting bombarded. And the stupidity, the absurdity of this fucking event, and some of the fucking fans that are actually buying into this and thinking it's a competitive fight and that this is actually going to be worth their money, it gets fucking draining. You can't escape it. So the fact that I made 2 rant videos about it. Look at the comments on those fucking videos from some of these wacko MMA casuals, which I'm going to be calling out all those motherfuckers on come August 27th. All of them. And they're all going to disappear, just like they always fucking do with all these fucking guys. I went through the same fucking thing with my Ronda Rousey videos going back a couple years, right? These same idiots who do not know what they're talking about have been all over this fucking thing. And you just hear so much fucking stupidity, and it's nonstop, and you can't escape it because you work in the industry. And this thing is a big part of the industry right now. Imagine, if you will, let's just imagine, if you will, that you worked in the soccer industry, or football, as you guys internationally call it, but here in America, soccer. In America, soccer is a niche sport, but globally it's fucking massive. It's one of the biggest sports there is. But let's say there is some stupid fucking event where the New England Patriots of the NFL were going to play a soccer match against Manchester United or some crap. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Or you know what? Fuck that. The Los Angeles Galaxy. That's a local American soccer team, okay? And all the NFL fans who don't know a fucking thing about soccer were saying, well, you use your fucking feet. You can still kick the fucking ball in football. They have to kick a fucking field goal, bro. The Patriots are going to fuck the Galaxy up. It's going to be like fucking 5-0 in the first quarter. And you had to listen to that shit. You had to listen to people like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and even Max fucking Kellerman. And then you had a fucking sellout. We talked about Paulie Malignaggi earlier. Maybe somebody in the soccer world, maybe Messi, went to train with the fucking New England Patriots to help get Tom Brady ready. And Tom Brady fucking scored a goal on Messi and tweeted it. And it became this big fucking ordeal. And you soccer fans are looking at this like, what the fuck are all these people talking about? And all you wanted to do was tell the truth about the fucking event. That it was a massive moneymaker and it was just a bunch of bullshit, right? But when you did that, you had stupid NFL fans from bumfuck wherever the fuck, from their little town that they're from, say, fuck you, man, NFL, fuck soccer, even though they're about to pay $100 to watch a soccer match. I could go on and on with this analogy for a fucking hour. It gets fucking draining. And look, boxing shoots itself in the foot all the fucking time. All the time. Boxing gets shit on by the mainstream sports media in America and even Hollywood sometimes and stuff. And it deserves it. It deserves a lot of the shit it gets because it fucks it up a lot. I get that. But if you're a diehard fan or a part of the dedicated boxing press that follows this sport in between when Pacquiao fights and Mayweather fights, you know, all those other fucking fights in between that are good, you see how much this sport gets right. You see the guts and the glory and just how fucking beautiful and amazing this fucking sport is. And you try to promote those smaller events. You try to tell your friends about the Superfly card. You think anyone who's fucking paying for this has any idea who the fuck Chocolatito Gonzalez is? They got no fucking idea. Naoya Inoue, they don't fucking know who those guys are. But they're beautiful fucking fighters. I've covered the events. I've seen them. I know the sacrifice these fucking men make in this sport all the fucking time. And they get disrespected all the fucking time. Every fucking day by the media. I see it all the fucking time. And it pisses me off. Look, you want to disrespect Bob Arum and Al Heyman? Fucking have at it, man. Oscar De La Hoya's a promoter now. Fucking have a field day. But don't disrespect the fucking fighters. And don't disrespect the fucking sport. This sport gets so much, there's so much fucking ignorance and disrespect thrown at boxing that it doesn't deserve. And there's so much misinformation. And when I got to listen to fucking idiots like Keyshawn Johnson, there's a morning radio show here in LA. He's been talking about Mayweather-McGregor. This stupid fuck doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I tweeted to him like, bring me on the fucking show. I live in LA. I'll teach you something. Fucking crickets. Don't hear from him. These kind of fucking people are talking about this shit. And it's one thing if they want to say, hey man, I'm curious just to see the circus. And I know a lot of people that I respect, that I love and respect, who literally want to go to this event. They don't think it's going to be competitive. They don't think it's a real fucking fight. But it's such a goddamn freak show, they want to go fucking see it. Like, I get that. I understand that. Like, I'm not mad at you guys. And there's a good portion of you out there who are watching this thing. I ain't mad at you guys. I'm mad at the stupid fucks who actually think this is going to be a competitive, real fight. That think, and it's not just on the Conor McGregor side, mind you. It's the Floyd Mayweather side too. Because we're going to hear 50-0, motherfucker, 50-0. I'm going to hear that shit 2 seconds after the fight's over. As if 50-0 is some magic fucking number. Because Rocky Marciano went 49-0 and retired. A fucking heavyweight who fought over half a century ago in a completely different fucking era. Has nothing to do with Floyd Mayweather. Whose resume has a lot of smoke and mirrors, including number fucking 50, and is a fucking welterweight, historically. There are fighters like Greb and Guillermo Papaleo or Willie Pep who had hundreds of fucking fights, hundreds, right? That laugh at fucking 50-0. There are plenty of fighters who won their first 50 fights before going on to eventually lose, regardless of who they fought. There's so many examples of how 50-0 doesn't mean a fucking thing, yet idiot Floyd fans, and I'm not talking about astute boxing fans that respect Floyd for what he is, not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the fucking morons that actually think this guy's the best fighter ever. And they're marketing this fight as the best fucking boxer ever. This MMA badass in his first fucking fight is going up against him. It's a crock of shit. Floyd's not in the top 20 pound for pound all time. Okay? He might crack the top 10 all time welterweights. Might. But he's not even in the top 5. If you rank him historically against the best welterweights, get the fuck out of here. Right? Some of the guys he beat in his own career, if he fought them in their prime, I'm not so sure. Does he beat Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley? Does he beat those guys in his prime? What about the guys he never fucking fought? You saw with Antonio Margarito, even though he got beat down against Pacquiao, you saw how that changed Pacquiao's career. He was never the same after that fight because he took punishment from a guy that was so much bigger and stronger. But he took that fucking risk and he won. He achieved greatness that night. It was for a bullshit title. I don't recognize the title Pacquiao won against Margarito. That was bullshit marketing crap. But he did something Floyd never fucking did, right? In that kind of a fight. And he did that multiple times throughout his fucking career. He just fought Jeff Horn and lost. Okay, fine. Jeff Horn is still better than Conor McGregor at boxing. Here's what's going to happen. If Floyd knocks out Conor McGregor in the first round, second, third, fourth round, these stupid, idiot, casual fans who are buying this shit, especially the MMA fans, not all, I'm talking about the idiot ones, not the actual educated MMA fans who know what this is, I'm talking about the casuals, are going to look at this and be like, well, fuck, if it was his first boxing match, Conor McGregor. Floyd should have knocked him out in the first round. Oh, it took him 3 rounds to knock him out. He still dropped Paulie Malignaggi, as if these fucking people knew who Paulie was 2 days ago, before the sparring shit happened. If this thing goes the distance, fucking A, man, the best fighter of all time, the best boxer of all time, couldn't knock out a guy in his pro debut. Boxing sucks. If Conor wins at least 1 round on the judges' scorecards, holy shit, a dude in his pro debut won a round. 1, 2, 3 rounds against the best fighter ever. Because they really think Floyd is the best boxer ever because that's what they've been told. These are the fucking narratives you're going to hear. There's no winning. The idiots who are buying into this thing, that actually think they know what they're talking about, who, on my videos about the shit show, just breaking it down a little bit, these fucking idiots, you don't know what you're talking about. McGregor's going to knock him out. Those fucking idiots who think they're smart but are really fucking morons, they're going to find a way to justify and flip this shit around no matter what Floyd does with Conor. There's no winning. All Floyd gives a fuck about is making money. Obviously, that's all Conor McGregor worries about right now too. I don't blame him. I mean, he's never made anywhere near his entire career. He hasn't made 1/10 of what he's going to make in this fucking fight. He's making more in this fight, more than 10 times in this fight what any MMA fighter has ever made in their entire fucking career when you're talking about purses, okay? I get why he's doing it. But this shouldn't be fucking sanctioned. It's a slap in the fucking face. If the Nevada State Athletic Commission was consistent, I wouldn't care. But when you routinely turn down fights from happening, there's a million examples I could give you. Even Andre Ward wanted to fight, I think, Alexander Brand in Las Vegas, and the commission said, nope, it's too one-sided, bro, can't do it. When you make a rule that says fighters over this weight class have to use this size glove, and that's been your rule for years, and you make every single fucking boxer adhere to it, but for this one fucking event you change the rule for your daddy because your daddy's bitch, it's a slap in the fucking face. It's like telling me water ain't wet. It's like telling me 2 + 2 ain't 4. Now, there's some fucking morons out there who want to believe 2 + 2 = 5. Those are the dumb fucks who are buying this, and they're the same stupid fucks who will be giving all these justifications no matter what happens afterwards and tweeting stupid fucking memes. It's going to be a fucking ridiculous shit show. That's why I've been calling it the shit show. It's not just the fight itself. On paper, I understand why these two egotistical motherfuckers are doing what they're doing. I get it. As I said before, these two cocksuckers deserve each other. It's all the bullshit that surrounds it. It gets draining, and I'm fucking over it. Can you tell? So when people want to sit there and say, you know what? You don't have the right to fucking criticize this fight. Just don't fucking buy it. Guess what, ass fuck? I do have the right to criticize this fight, and I will. And if you sit there and double down and tell me that I'm an asshole for criticizing it, I'm going to say, fuck you, fuck your mother, and I'm going to criticize it even more. This fight's bullshit. So Yeah, have I made my feelings clear enough? Have I made them clear enough? What's going to happen here is Gervonta Davis is going to decapitate this pizza driver. Tabiti and Cunningham are going to go 12 rounds in a fight that shouldn't even be sanctioned. Cleverly and Jack will go all 12. They're handing Jack that title. Mayweather's making us promise true for Jack and getting him a title. And Floyd and Conor, whether it gets stopped in the 8th round or something, whether it goes the distance, it doesn't fucking matter. The idiots who bet thousands of dollars on Conor McGregor to win and are going to be furious when this fight's over, they're going to tweet some stupid fucking meme, took you 8 rounds to knock him out though, or, couldn't knock him out, or the judges gave him 3 rounds, best fighter ever, my ass, boxing sucks. Or they're just going to tweet shit like, most boring fight ever, boxing sucks, I'm going back to MMA, fuck boxing. It's going to be just that shit. The best part about all this, and the smartest thing that Golden Boy Promotions did, is they did their real event. It's coming up on September 16th. And they made a deal with the MGM people that no big event could be within 3 weeks of it. So this fucking piece, this pile of shit, is 3 weeks before the real fight. So we get 3 weeks to hear all those stupid fucking tweets about boxing sucks and couldn't knock him out, or it took you too long to knock him out, or whatever the fuck happens. Some freak circus act might happen. Whatever the fuck happens, we get 3 weeks to filter all that noise out, detox, and then get excited about a real fucking super fight. That's the best thing about this. One last note. If somehow Conor McGregor knocks Floyd the fuck out, a lot of you guys out there think that I would be pissed, or I'm insecure about boxing and I'm fucking scared. You're wrong. I would laugh my fucking ass off. I think it'd be awesome. It wouldn't mean anything about MMA being better than boxing. It would just mean that Floyd's entire fucking legacy, which is completely built on him being undefeated and the best fighter ever because of that, would finally be evaporated. And all the fucking idiots who have been floating that narrative for years, knowing it's a false narrative, knowing it doesn't fucking matter, would finally be silenced. I'd become a Conor McGregor fan overnight. Never want to see him box again because he's shit. But those of us who are dedicated boxing press, we're not insecure about MMA. We're not worried about it. I could give a flying fuck. The shit I took this morning with my coffee, that's how much I care about it. I don't care. MMA and UFC is doing great in the United States. Awesome. You guys, keep doing your thing, man. Good for you. I don't fucking care. Boxing is healthy and doing well. And as soon as this fucking guy is out of it, and this fucking guy's out of it, we can get back to having one of the best years we've had in a long fucking time. Those of you who don't like it, you probably feel the same way I feel about MMA. Actually, I respect MMA, and a lot of the fighters are cool guys and good people. A lot of the fans are awesome fucking people. And there's plenty of fucking people that love both. We don't have to hate each other. I'm happy for UFC's success. I'm happy when any dude who risks his health fighting in a cage, a ring, octagon, whatever the fuck it is, I'm happy when they do well, okay? So it's not me hating. We're not worried about what this is going to do to boxing. Boxing will be fine when this shit's done. We're just over it. We're ready for it to be over so we can get back to what the fuck we want to do. I had to talk about it. I had to preview it because there is an actual interesting matchup on the undercard, and it's part of the sport that I cover. So there, those of you who saying I'm being a biased fucking asshole for not giving it any coverage, I gave it fair coverage. I gave a preview and I kept it real and honest as I see it. Those of you who think that I'm shitting on it because I couldn't get in to cover it, you're wrong. I turned down money to cover this event. I wasn't going to get rich. I wasn't going to make thousands and thousands of dollars, but I would have made a nice little chunk of change covering this event. And I got into every fucking thing. It wouldn't be a thing. I could be ringside for this fight this Saturday. I chose not to cover it. That's it. But I gave it a preview. I was fair and balanced as I see it. This is what I feel about the fucking event. So let's talk August 27th, okay? All you big fucking tough guys that were leaving a bunch of comments on my videos and every other video since the one I did on the Shit Show, even on TNC, all you tough guys are going to leave comments here. Let's see you come back around August 27th and own up to your bullshit.